Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com. You are joining us in video 3 out of 3. It's a 3-video series featuring the Waves on the Ocean product from Stampin' Up. I found these fun vitamin C, Dead Sea mineral facial masks on Amazon. I'll put a link below the video for you. And could not resist doing this little Boxalope. So it's kind of a box, it's kind of an envelope, and it holds one of these Dead Sea mineral facial masks. This is our third project. Let me just give you a quick peek. Video number 1 is this totally awesome card. Video number 2 is this fun fold 3D card. Both of the links to these videos will be below. And during the next few weeks, if you purchase the Waves in the Ocean product collection from me, Marisa Alvarez, stampinup.net, and use the host code, I will send you the gift with purchase make and take packet. You can make one each of the cards I showed you and the Boxalope. It's also going to include your vitamin C, Dead Sea mineral facial mask for your treat box. All right, so let's take a look at what's in the packet here. Well, what's left after we've done our other 2 projects. I've already cut my designer series paper. This is the Waves of the Ocean 12 by 12 designer series paper. It's a fun poured paint designer series paper without all the poured paint and drying time. Our Stampin' Up designers have done the work for you and turned their gorgeous creations, their artwork, into designer series paper that you can use in your projects. So you'll get a 6x6 sheet of each design in your make and take packet. I've already cut my piece for this project, and it is 3 1/4 by 5 7/8. The other thing we're going to do while we're on this paper is punch the sun. Now the sun is a 1.5 inch circle punch. I'm using the retired Stampin' Up circle punch. It's just easier. But if you want to use a current product, if you don't have a 1.5 inch circle punch, the layering circles dies have a 1 5/8 inch circle that you can use. So now we've got our designer series paper and sun, and take a look at how awesome this is. The designer series papers in this pack are really going to let you express your own creativity. Now, the other thing that we did here, we have your box template already scored and partially trimmed for you because we wanted to do this whimsy stitching so that you can see how awesome this die set is. So if you get the make and take packet, it's done to this point for you. But for the video purposes, especially if you're not getting the kit and you're just following along, let me show you how we make the base of our Boxalope. You're going to start with 2 pieces of cardstock. I'm using Pool Party, and the base of our Boxalope is 10 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then to complete the front pocket, 6 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now this is the template, and I will have a picture of the template in the project sheet for you. So there's your pocket. This is how you're going to trim for the base of your box. And let's go ahead and do those steps. Got my Simply Score tool. We're going to start with the base of our box. And on the 6 3/4 inch side, we're going to score both 6 3/4 inch sides at 3/8 of an inch. So that we have even 3/8 of an inch box sides. Yes, you could go 3/8 of an inch and then 6 3/8, but what happens then is this is 3/8 of an inch. It's off the rail to the 3/8 inch mark. This is at 6 3/8, but what's left is what's left. If you didn't cut the paper perfectly, then you're going to have a Boxalope that might be a little bit taller on one side of the box and a little bit shorter on the other. So that's why I do that rotate. Now we're going to put it in the 10 3/4 side, and we're going to score at 3/8, 6 3/4, and then we're going to score at 3 3/4, but we're going to stop as soon as we run into that 3/8 inch score line. rotate to the other 10 3/4 inch side. Do the same thing at 7 inches. Score, but stop when you hit the intersecting score line. All right, let's trade. Here's the pocket. And the pocket's simple. We're going to do 3/8 of an inch on 3 sides. So 3/8, rotate, 3/8, rotate, and 3/8. And there's the base of your box. Let's work all these score lines with a bone folder and trim according to our template. All right, there's all of our score lines. For the front pocket of the box, we're going to cut straight along the long portion and then a little bit of an angle cut. Take out that score line. Do the same thing on the other side, straight along the long portion and then a bit of an angle cut. That's it for the pocket. Now for the base of the box, you're going to find those partial score lines and you're going to trim below them, little angle cut both sides. And then you want to take all of this out, this whole big rectangle. If you're more comfortable doing this on your paper trimmer, you can just pop this right back into your paper trimmer and cut the whole length. Just cut the score line right off. I'm going to go ahead and do that with my paper snips. I'm comfortable just cutting that straight line. All right, there we go. Then same thing at the bottom here. Just like we did with the pocket, we're going to cut straight up along the bottom panel, angle cut, take out the score line, and repeat. There's our box. Now let's put aside the pocket for just a minute. We're going to bring in the stitched whimsy dies here. So the stitched whimsy dies don't actually cut, they just stitch, and they're going to leave this awesome little detail impression that kind of frames our scene. We're going to use the largest of the stitched whimsy. There's 6 dies, rectangles and squares, 3 rectangles, 3 squares, in nested sizes. And a really great way to add some finesse to your project. I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. You're going to want to lay the flap so this score line runs across your platform here, and the tabs are off the back of the platform. You're not even going to crank as far as those tabs. You have to stop there, otherwise you'll tear them up. I'm going to lay the stitched whimsy die so that it has an even right, left, and top border. And then I'll use a little low-tack tape here just to keep everything still while we're cranking. Add the top platform or the top plate and crank. Now you're going to crank until you've cut those stitches, but stop before these tabs try to enter the machine. Look at the cool stitched detail now on our flap. It's going to frame our scene just perfectly. I'm going to bring in my corner rounder and round the corners on the flap. You can use your detailed trio punch or any corner rounder you have. And we can assemble our box. Let's do our stenciling first. If you've seen our first 3 videos, you know that we're going to do some layering ink details in the background. That's going to give us kind of a soft cloudy sky and then the sea spray above. So you'll need some Whisper White ink and a mask of your choice. I'm using the Basic Patterns Decorative Masks. This is a product from the annual catalog. It's currently available from Stampin' Up. And it does not have to be perfect, but we're going to leave the edge of the mask along the score line above the stitches and center right to left. And we're going to use the blending brush, and we're using a pigment ink, so you can go ahead and just kind of press that brush into the pigment ink, picking up the ink as you go. Hold down the mask. You could tape it down if you want to, but like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going for kind of open, abstract. We're not trying to fill in the detail perfectly. It's supposed to look kind of cloudy, kind of windy. We're not really looking for the damask. We're just looking to kind of reinforce the clouds and the sea spray. So we're going to move in a circular motion across the mask. You can add a little more ink if you feel you need it, but move the ink that's on the mask, on the plastic, into the openings. Now you can take a peek and see how it looks. I'm going to go a little higher. You want a little more intensity. Do you need to spread around some ink that's on a little bit too thick? Then just drop the mask back down and continue to move across it in a circular movement. Now we've got a beautiful damask stencil on our flap. Pretty cool, huh? Let's continue to layer that effect. We're going to bring some Coastal Cabana and a spatter. Now my spatter is from the Quiet Meadow stamp set. You can use any splatter you have, but you'll notice that if you haven't seen, go back to video number 2, check out the 3D card. We use this little tag. So we've used this bundle. This is kind of our wingman bundle. It's on sale 20% off while supplies last this month. So if you haven't checked that one out, it's got some really cool stamps and dies, and you can save a little more during the month of March. I need some mini grid paper. We're going to stamp off and do second generation stamping. So protect your work surface. We'll use Coastal Cabana and stamp off. And add a little sea spray. Now it's going to be high on the left hand side where the wave is going to kind of crest, and then it'll be lower on the right hand side where the wave is kind of coming into shore. So there we go. A little bit more off the edge over here. Builds up a little higher maybe. And there's our sea spray Coastal Cabana layered over our white craft. Now let's go ahead and assemble our box. So we need some tear and tape, and take your pick tool. We're gonna assemble the box. Here it's super simple. First thing you're gonna do is add just a touch of adhesive on the tabs of the base of the box. You can remove the liner and form the bottom and sides of the box by bringing up the corner. Burnish that down. So now you can see the Boxalope is starting to form. I'm gonna bring in our pocket and do the same thing. Add a little bit of tape on the corners in these little glue tabs. You can use liquid glue here. It'll give you some time to slide as you're lining things up, but you will have to hold it until it grabs. We want the seams of our box to go to the back, so we're going to add our tear and tape adhesive on the base of the box. You can just go right around if you want to, and then tear off. Remove the liner. It's really important right now that if anything is over the edge anywhere, you fold that back. We don't want any adhesive to hang past the edge. And now we're going to bring the pocket over almost like a box lid. You can burnish down along the bottom. Here's your bow and folder. And then along the sides. Use your bone folder to get good contact. Now we've got a little box with an envelope flap. Seams go to the back all the way around the box. Let's get our designer series paper. And we're going to add that to the front pocket. You can use some liquid glue and center it. Got to bring the sample back in here in just a second so you can see. Just choosing a different piece of this poured paint designer series paper really gives you an entirely different look. Isn't that wild? Let's pop our little treat in the pocket. And we're going to close this up with a Velcro dot. So if you've got the kit inside your little bag of bits for this project, you'll see a Velcro dot. I'll leave a link to these Velcro dots that I use. They're small and tidy. They've got a good adhesive stick, and they're really affordable. I buy packages of 56, and then I buy 56 packs at a time on Amazon and get them for a pretty good price. There we go. I like to have the soft side of the Velcro up. So let's find it. And the soft side is a little bit more opaque. So I usually put that one on the flap. So put them back together. Adhesive gets exposed on the flap. I'm going to bring this about center, maybe 3/8 of an inch up from the edge. Then we can remove the liner on the other side of our dot, the companion side. Burnish that down, lift. Now I got a nice Velcro close. Isn't that cool? Next up, let's do some stamping. Got lots of scraps here in the kit. Early Espresso, Sahara Sand, Basic White, a little bit of Coastal Cabana, Calypso Coral Heart. We cut the Calypso Coral Heart for you if you got the make and take packet. We used the new Sweethearts dies for that. And then we also cut a Sahara Sand label for you, a little stitched rectangle. And that one is from Ornate Layers dies. It's this long skinny rectangle. We did that one ahead for you. I'm gonna bring in my Early Espresso ink. I'm gonna do some stamping. Let's start with this sentiment. Our friendship is a thing of beauty. Gonna stamp that along the lower edge of our stitched rectangle, centered right to left and just right along the bottom edge, close as you can get it comfortably. You want to hold even pressure. If you push too hard on the right or the left end, you'll get uneven inking. So just give your ink a second to transfer and hold it with even pressure right in the center. So slide that and let it dry. Let's stamp our pelicans. This is video number 3 in this series, and we've used this awesome pelican image 3 times now, so you've seen me color this. I'm just gonna go through and do it quickly. Before I color, let me give it 1 second to dry. We're gonna switch back to Coastal Cabana ink for a minute. Grab our Stamparatus. I have the wave from Waves of Inspiration, the star of the show here, on the Stamparatus. So let's go ahead and stamp our Coastal Cabana wave on some Coastal Cabana cardstock. I ink the stamp my grid paper, then I know exactly where I can place my cardstock. I'll ink up. I'm gonna do tone on tone, Coastal Cabana on Coastal Cabana, which is gonna give us a wonderful kind of textured wave. It's really gonna come alive when we add the detailed die cut over the top. Again, give your ink some time to transfer. Hold even pressure with one hand while you kind of walk with the other hand, and then switch. Hold even pressure with one hand, kind of walk with the other. Lift, If you like the image, you're good. If you want to ink a little bit more and stamp again, that's the beauty of the Stamparatus. You'll get it in exactly the same place. All right, our pelican should be pretty stable. Let's go ahead and color. We're going to use watercolor pencils and an aqua painter. My watercolor pencils are Basic Gray, Early Espresso, Basic White, and Daffodil Delight. And we're going to watercolor the Early Espresso and the white, so we'll start with those. These pylons get just a smooth, very light coat of Early Espresso pigment. It's really a soft shade right now. It's gonna pop when we wash over with the aqua painter and we melt those brown pigments. It'll look really cool with the artist's details below those painted pigments. Okay, before I get the aqua painter, I'm gonna do my pelican. I'm gonna do the pelican's head with a good solid coat of white watercolor. And we'll just kind of scribble in. We're still looking for to lay down a lot of pigment, so take your time, use a little pressure, but we're kind of scribbling around the Early Espresso feathers. Don't just color straight over everything the artist did, kind of scribble in. I'm going to use my aqua painter and wait till you see how the Early Espresso watercolor pencil just melts and get this great effect. All right, we've got the wood all colored in. We're going to clean off the brush, get the brown pigments out, and then just kind of dab in on the bird. It's going to melt some of that Early Espresso ink and soften that white watercolor. Clean your brush again. Got my Daffodil Delight watercolor pencil. Do the beak. Nice, solid. Lay down nice, thick pigments here. It gives you a good contrast between these color pencil effects where you're just laying down pigment and the watercolor effects that you get when you run the aqua painter over. It's kind of gets to a multimedia kind of look. And to really enhance that, we're going to bring in our chalk marker and fill in our pelican's head. Gets nice strong white, and then we're just going to dab and dot over the feathers and get a really cool looking pelican. All right, time to do some die cutting. Got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here, but before I get going with it, I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back of one of my Coastal Cabana scraps here. So I'm just going to peel the liner here and lift, put the cardstock on the adhesive and trim it out. Now we've just made some sticker paper. It's going to make the details of our wave pick and stick and super easy to use. This piece that was over the Coastal Cabana, we can throw that away. This is all perfectly good adhesive. Hold on to the rest of that sheet. Now you know I love to get as much out of each pass as I can, so we're going to put our Coastal Cabana Early Espresso. Let's get our little pelican guy up there. Got some basic white that came in the kit. We're going to cut that one in half so I can show you. We're going to make dimensional clouds. So this piece is going to go on our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This piece is going to get some dimensional adhesive similar to the one that we just used here. And we're going to cut the wave in Coastal Cabana, the birds in Early Espresso, the clouds from Basic White, and we can cut out our pelican. We can do them all in one pass. I find that delightful. Pop plate over top and give it a crank. Look at this awesome wave. Now you've got the wave, the details that we're going to use, and it's adhesive. Save this. You can do some more die cutting and have self-adhesive pieces. We just are concerned about getting the detail, the little outline, but all of these are now self-adhesive and they will be 4 inlay techniques. You can cut this out of a different color, peel and stick, and then peel and stick the pieces and lay them right in, and it'll get kind of a stained glass look. Very cool. We'll save that technique for another video. There's so many great things you can do with this wave. All right, so weed out, and then if you just put these in a little baggie, you're all set to go for an inlay technique with another card. All right, remember that piece of basic white? Let's grab a different kind of adhesive for this one. This is the Stampin' Up dimensional adhesive sheet. So this is a foam adhesive sheet, and it works just like the flat adhesive that we used in the Coastal Cabana. We're just going to lift from the corner, put our cardstock on the adhesive, cut it out. This piece right here is trash. All of this is good adhesive, so we'll put that back. Now we're going to take the detail pieces for the clouds. We could actually do quite a few here. So put them close and do not throw this piece away. We can cut more clouds. And after we've cut as much as we can, save what's left. And you can use it just like dimensionals. One side will be peel and stick. The other side will take a little bit of liquid glue, but it'll work just like a dimensional. So don't throw away any of this adhesive. All right, there's our details. You notice I did go forward and back. I like to do that with this foam. It has no trouble cutting whatsoever, but I just go back and forth. Remove the die, and then we can take the details out of the die. And there's our little cloud details. It's going to make our clouds look really three-dimensional and fun. Let's pull those clouds back in here and assemble them. The detail is already self-adhesive now. We just did here along the bottom of the flat cloud for both sizes. Look at how cool they are. 3D and really awesome. Here's our sample, our Boxalope. Let's get our wave. We're going to peel and stick the details and then trim out the background. I love this die cut details over the stamped details. It really gives you a fun kind of 3D effect. You can see how easy this is to peel and stick. The liner comes right away from the cutout. Even here where we've got a little bit left on the edge, just kind of roll your finger along and the adhesive liner lifts right off. Like to line up the left side and the bottom with the stamped image. You don't want to distort the wave as you go. Burnish that down and cut it out with scissors. The raised edge of the detail die cut makes it really easy. Just follow with the blade of your scissor along the edge. I'll get this all cut out and we'll glue it to the flap of the Boxalope. All right, there's our wave. Doesn't it look cool? Got the Coastal Cabana, the stamping, and then that fun outline. We're gonna glue that kind of centered between the stitches, just a little bit above the box flap. We're gonna slide our Friendship is a Thing of Beauty in between. So let's get some liquid glue and get these pieces. Just a skinny little line across the top. A scribble of liquid glue on the wave. Don't forget to grab those crusts of the wave there. And cover. Look at all the texture we're getting with the stitching and the stamping. Now our pelican needs some dimensionals, and our sun, the liquid glue. So add a little liquid glue All right, everybody's sticky. So we're going to kind of line these two together. Put our pelican and then our sun. Put my pelican down just a little bit. There we go. Burnish everything. Now the clouds. Little liquid glue. Got just a touch of stamping to do here. So let's go ahead and open the box. We're going to bring in our early espressos. And I got the little bird from Waves of Inspiration. We'll stamp a couple of those, fill in some of this empty sky space here. I'm going to adhere our die cut bird, which gives us a whole new scale and some fun contrast in the die cutting and stamping. This bird looks like it's a lot closer to us. Those guys look like they're kind of off in the distance. Put that where you like it. Awesome. Now, in video number 1, we took the white frayed ribbon and we cut it in half hot dog wise, so it's narrow now. We're going to add a strip of tear and tape adhesive right across the flap of our box from edge to edge, but not quite across the bottom edge. Can open this up again so we can burnish it down and then remove the liner. We're going to stick the ribbon in the tear and tape. When we get to the little pelican, we're going to loop up and then adhere the ribbon, leave the loop all the way to the end, and then we're going to cut off the excess. You got some linen thread in your kit, and we're going to take what's left of that here and we'll wrap it around the loop and tie a knot. Got some glue dots here, and my take your pick tool. I'm going to add a couple of glue dots right underneath the pelicans there, and then adhere down the loop. Now we can tie a bow. We want it big and loopy, kind of beachy. I love it. Hold the center and adjust the size of your loops. Then we can cut off the excess. Bring those glue dots back in. We're going to put the little Calypso coral heart on a glue dot and lift it up. Put it right on the center knot there. Close that guy back up. Look at how cool the different designer series papers are. Now I used the kind of granny apple green looking gems on this one. In your make and take kit, you're going to get a strip that has 2 colors. I've got Night of Navy and Pacific Point here. And so we're going to get a very different look depending on which designer series paper, which rhinestone gems we use. I'm going to do a big one and 2 little ones up this way, and then a medium one and a small one down this way. Isn't that just so cool? Same products, same designer series paper pack, same everything, same layout. But look at how different it is when you use the different shades and colors, patterns. When you draw out what appeals to you, your project will look totally different from my project. Isn't that cool? All right, I hope that you enjoyed the Boxalope. Check out below the description for the video number 1 in the series. That's your totally awesome card. And now we have a matching card and treat. And the matching card and treat just by changing up our designer series papers there. Isn't that cool? So that was video number 1 and video number 2. The link will be in the description below. And if you purchased your Waves of the Ocean collection using the host code, buzz over to MarisaAlvarez.stampinup.net, purchase the entire collection, it's $79.25, item number 161797, and use the host code, and I will send out the make and take packet right to you automatically. The $80 purchase with the host code will automatically trigger me to mail you the make and take packet. So please make sure that your mailing address is correct before you place your order with Stampin' Up. If there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. Shop 24/7, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.